get it off. And I think I would try that before I just let it, unless I knew it was definitely a chemically bad idea.
Your end will come
A
swiftly.
guy I went to school with,
I
his dad
promise.
was on
Different idea. You let us go and think of
where
something
they
else.
was local news, like a very small, middle of nowhere town local news, and they had a police officer showing some of their equipment, and they had a canister of tear gas. And I guess he had accidentally opened it part of the way, and the whole studio filled up with the gas.
Activating that will take both your time and energy. Your deaths will be further
Yep.
evidence. This research and its byproducts are too dangerous for this world.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I was reading something and then I didn't really. You said something about spilled gas on him or something.
A guy I went to school with, his dad was a was on the news. This was like a small, middle of nowhere
You
town,
cannot sit idly by while you
and they had
attend to
a
your
on the
fate.
morning show or whatever, a police officer showing some of the equipment they use. And they had a can of tear
Accept
gas,
your
and I guess he had
demise.
opened it part of the way, and the whole studio filled up with it.
Your continued efforts
That
only
stuff's
place
rough.
humanity in greater danger.
I'm
Should
pretty
really
sure
be
he
called
probably
"Think You're
lost his
Dying"
gas.
gas, but I guess they went with tear to be a little less subtle.
I must fix this myself.
Well, that's when he told the story. He used the words tear gas, so.
No, I mean call it tear gas. I'm saying the real description of it should be "You think you're dying" gas, because I mean you can't breathe, everything's burning. I mean it's
Yeah, that's what my dad said when they were in basic. A lot of the guys came out of that room puking and screaming. A couple had passed out.
when I was in
Handle
14,
this
15,
myself.
I was in Civil Air Patrol. 13, 14, 15, I was in Civil Air Patrol, which was an old. I don't even know if it's still around today. I haven't heard of it so long, but it was an actual part of the Air Force, kind of trying to recruit, kids to kind of like Cub Scouts, I guess, and definitely kind of like ROTC, but
So many of you are still
part
alive.
of ranking up through it from peon all the way up to full bird colonel
Are you
was,
surprised you're
just
here
like
this
scouts had the
long?
tie knots and everything. You had all these different things,
However,
military, quote
I must
unquote, you're supposed to
acknowledge
do.
your
One of them was
dedication.
like a 2 week encampment where we got to go down to Savannah to Hunter Air Base and flying for 2 weeks on C-130s. And um, I remember one of the things they told us, I remember when I was 14, they were like, you know what crotch rot is? And it was like, no, doesn't sound too good though. And they
No,
were like,
it's bad.
well, you're in these fatigues, and you're down here in the Savannah hot, sweaty weather, and long, because you're in boots with strap around your, and your BDUs. You got the elastic going around, keeping anything from getting into your boot, and then you got long sleeve shirts on. So as you're going through the brush and stuff, ain't nothing tearing you up. This is military grade, equipment. And they're like, so every night when we get back, you make sure you shower your nuts or you're going to lose them. I'm like, what?
Preparation
What?
for this
And they're like,
task
yeah,
can
you'll get
wait.
like jungle rot's what they call it, crotch rot, jungle rot. It'll be all black and gooey, nasty, and it'll just eat your nuts right off. And I'm like, okay, well, sure, suck, man. We got there, and like on day 3, I'm in there washing. I'm kind of reaching in between the guys, like, what the fuck is this shit? Yeah, so I made sure that was always taken care of. But one of the things we had to do was we had to do, I don't want to say mustard gas. I'm pretty sure it was tear gas, but we didn't do like a major, like if we were adults in PT or something training. It was a mild dose of it, but even that was like, holy fuck. I mean,
At least they
it burns your
praise the
eyes, it
winner.
burns your nose, it burns the inside of your nose. And when I say burn your nose, I mean like your nose felt like the outside, like somebody came with a big lighter and set your nose on fire, your ears on fire, your cheeks on fire, your eyelashes on fire, your eyebrows on fire, your chin, your collars, and trying to breathe it, it set your teeth on fire, your tongue on fire, your lungs on fire. I mean, it's just, God, yeah. That's why I said, it's cool that they call it tear gas, because you start crying like hell uncontrollably. Your saliva is trying to put it out, your eyes fluids trying to put out the fire, and all kind of bodily fluids are coming out of your face. Meanwhile, you're trying to breathe, and you think you're dying. I mean, I
Must use
wouldn't.
brute
Mm.
force. And I shall.
We got pepper spray too. We were supposed to deal with pepper spray, and what's the other one? It was kind of like pepper spray, but I don't think they use it anymore. Something the
Like
girls
mace?
used to have, but it was like in a little squirt bottle.
Yeah, mace.
Mace, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, and some of that shit, like during the war, that shit wasn't meant to hurt you. That's why I said I'm pretty sure we didn't do mustard gas. I'm pretty sure mustard gas was dropped to kill fuckers. And so think about that, man. You are dying. You feel that way, and then you don't come back. Good sleep.
I want nothing to do with that stuff. I can't even be around spicy food. I start tearing up.
You want to start really thinking about life in general. Just think about how crazy war is. It actually has rules. Like you have your military and your civilians, and then you shoot to kill until they're wounded. You leave them alone. It's like all this backward shit. It's like death, death, death. Okay, he's out of the game. All right, you death, death, death. Oh, damn, you stubbed your toe. All right, you're out of the game. Not that they stubbed a toe, but think about it. You're on a ship and get hit by a shell. All right, 25 people were disintegrated. Another 18 had arms and legs blown off. Oops.
It's very naive to think that there's rules in war. That if someone's not that desperate, they're gonna do whatever they can.
It's not so much about the in war. It's once the war calms down, once the peace treaties are talked, then they start coming after the aggressors and the war criminals. Because there's, you got the press. That's what I'm saying. The press is part of the rules. You're not supposed to attack the press. That's why, you watch. I was just watching it the other day. I thought it was pretty wicked when they were showing D-Day with the thousands of boats for, I can't think what they're called, the amphibious assault vehicles, but they're really silly, not really even amphibious. But at the time, they were the greatest idea to move a whole shitload of people.
Tank things?
Yeah, the ones that came up, dropped the door, and everybody went running on the beach, and fucking shitloads died. But hey, eventually they won. But it was crazy as fuck. Is on the side, in big motherfucking letters, you could not miss it. Press, PRESS. So we're filming this shit. Don't shoot us. Hell, they had something recently where a press over in Ukraine. Yeah, Ukraine had there was 3 guys: the reporter, the cameraman, and the sound guy. Got ambushed by. I don't know. I don't want to say which side because who knows what the truth is. Whether it was a Ukraine team or a Russian team. But yeah, the sound guy got killed, the reporter got killed, and the camera guy got wounded. Or maybe it was the reporter got wounded, the camera guy and the sound guy got killed.
Well, there was one recently in Israel too, or Palestine, whichever you want to go with. But the investigation, the Israeli government's like, yeah, it was probably one of our guys, only because the U.S. investigative team that they wanted to investigate it came out and said, yeah, it was from an Israeli weapon. And then, the Israelis get all pissed off that the Americans threw them under the bus. So they finally come out and go, yeah, it was probably us, but we don't know for sure. But he shouldn't have been there anyway.
Well, I just hate all this bullshit that's trying to feed the kids that we should all love one another, whether you're gay, straight, black, white, whatever. Well, I believe that. But the way that they're putting everybody in boxes, that's segregation. And they're making all the boxes fight each other.
I've been trying to explain that to my nephew. He just turned 18, and he doesn't hear it. Okay.
They think it's
no,
cool.
we're more aware. We're more social just or whatever. I don't know what his word was. Than you guys were.
No, you're more brainwashed than we were. We were brainwashed too, but they've really gone off the hook on you guys. The difference is when they were brainwashing us. Ask him next time, have you ever heard of the nuclear family? And if he says yeah, make sure he knows what the nuclear family is. It's a husband, a wife, and 2 kids. Living in a home, living middle class, with car for the husband and a car for the wife. Money and retirement in the bank. That's the nuclear family. That's the going forward, the future. That's what we were brainwashed. Fast forward 40 years. I'm 54. Fast forward 40 years. Remember, so the one scariest fucking statement ever made in the history of the United States was upon Barack Obama's inauguration speech. The words, "Today we fundamentally change the United States of America," means more than anybody ever realized. I knew it immediately.
I shall revise my strategy.
I already knew it because I told you. Clinton blew me away when it said on Fox that Clinton was going to get on the air tomorrow and say that she's stepping down to let Barack Obama win. And I was like, Barack Obama? Who the fuck's that? And why the what? Whose office did they just sit down in and they said, hey, this is what we're going to do. You're going to step aside. We'll make you Secretary of State. I know. You can do it next term. We're going with Barack right now. And then he pushed all the Muslim Brotherhood back then. He went in front of all the countries of the world. He went and bowed to the Prince of Saudi. You know, I love it today. There was a guy from South Africa that's an IT guy for a big company here in town, and I just attended his house today. And this evening before I left, he was telling me about how shitty it is and why they left Jonesboro, whatever, South Africa, and
Jonestown, yeah.
Jonestown, yeah, and why they left South Africa and why Mumbai is total garbage now. It's all the streets are run over and by grass, and you know they haven't maintained anything ever since all these new governments took over. It's just crazy. They're down to diesel generators and solar. You know, with light bulbs, LED light bulbs with batteries in them. So when the rolling power comes along, you got 2 hours of light. You know, how in the fuck they're talking about closing their last nuclear power plant in California, but they can't look at the rolling blackouts they had, and then they're saying that in 2035 you can only buy an electric car. We're already seeing it now that the cars aren't. So he's got a friend. So he tells me about in 2015 he went and bought a Nissan Leaf. You know what that is, right? The Nissan Leaf was the full electric car from Nissan, their first one. And of course, Tesla came out with one. Remember Chevy Bolt? You know, trying to think. Toyota didn't really go full electric for a long time. They kept doing the hybrid, which I still think is a great idea. Mix it up, you know.
I agree too.
Safety in either form, safety in power or safety in gas. You run out of power, you just put a little more gas in, and your motor charges it while you're, you know. No, so when he first got that Leaf, he'd charge it fully up and it would go 210 miles. But after, and he was like, man, this is all new and everything, so I bought it brand new, and I bought the expensive as fuck extended warranty in case, you know, anything goes wrong with this whole new bullshit. So he said 3 years later, well, the first year was 210, then it got to about 180, then it got down the third year down to 90 miles on a charge. And he said, fuck this. So I went down there and said, hey, there's something wrong with the car, and I bought the extended warranty, so we need to see what's wrong with it. And so they came back and they said, oh, well, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. And they were like, he was like, yeah, man, I used to charge it and go 210 miles. Now it only charges me 290 miles. And he goes, oh, well, yeah, so that's just wear and tear on the battery. I mean, that's like asking us, you know, to buy you a new set of tires because you wore the tread down.
When the battery costs as much, if not more, than the car.
So how much would it be to fix the damn battery then? Well, it'd be $6,000 for the part, and we'll have to put it in, and that's another $6,000. And he said, okay, well, how much to trade it in? Went and bought him a Subaru. Loved it. 3 years later, it was having a problem where every year the driver door power window regulator kept breaking. It was actually apparently pretty commonly known in the, you know, if you bought a Subaru Outback world. I think it was a 19 or 20.
That's common in a lot of models. I had a couple of Buicks that had the same problem.
Well, so apparently there's some group has made a video that if you do it this way, it lasts a lot longer. So he went down there and said, okay,